Good morning, Rabbi Sai. It's so good to be back in Bet Shemesh. Unbelievable. What are you laughing about? Live from the Armon Hotel in Connecticut. It's unbelievable. Look at this background. It's unbelievable. Literally like the mothership in Ramat Bet Shemesh. So much detail, so many. We're very much looking forward to unbelievable Shabbos. You could still join us. I think there's a couple of rooms left, Bemis. And if not, if there's nothing left, we'll take some of the waiters and we'll ship them out, right, Yossi? We'll make some room. As we've been doing for the last few weeks, we start off with the Kapitel Tehillim with a bren. We'll say it together, Kapitel Kuf Lamed. And this is for the schus that the soldiers on the front line should come home safe, together with all those who are in captivity. Over 200 Yidden, some of them are only a few months old. And all those who are injured, thousands who are injured, and also for the mishpachas who are grieving, and the neshamas. Kapitel Kuf Lamed, everybody together. Shir Amalois Mimamakim Grosicho Adonai Adonai Shema Bekoili Ki Enos Necho Gashuvois Likoi Tachanunoi Im Avoinois Tishmorio Adonai Miyamoi Kimcha Slicho Leman Tivorei Kivisi Adonai Kivsa Nafshi V'Lidvaroi Oichalti Nafshi L'Adonai Shemrim Laboike Shemrim Laboike Yachel Yisrael El Adonai Kim Adonai Yachesed V'Arbei Imoi Fidus V'Hu Yivdes Yisrael Mikol Avonisav Acheinu kol beis Yisrael hanesunim b'tzaro v'ashivya hoimdim bein bayom u'bein bayabasha hamokim yirachim aleihem v'mitzim mitzar levachim afel lo yirum mishiv l'gula hashto b'agalav izman koriv v'nimar omein. So we'll start off with a few emails. Rabbi Isai, the first one is a picture of the chevra. A lot of them came from Eretz Yisrael. Some of them are from Lakewood, from all over. MDY at the cookie corner. Yosef Billyack, who flew in. Yishkoyach. Avremi Cohen, who flew in. Yoeli Elkan, Yosef Kron, Aber Rennert. Yaakov Citron, who flew in. Where are you? You're not in there. Reb Chaim Snow's not in this picture. Nochem Horowitz, Yudah Shok, Aaron Hirsch. Yishkoyach, beautiful picture. Hi Rebelli, as we're finishing Kiddushin, I'm excited and looking forward to join the upcoming Shabbos with the MDY family. Joining the Shir live on Daf Mem Dalet and Mem Vav was a big push for me to keep up with the Shir over Yontav while traveling home after Yontav with everything that was unfortunately going on while we left Eretz Yisrael. As I joined the Shir a few Daf into the Masechta, I catched up in the last few days and a few Daf that I skipped. Watching the past Shurim, all the schmack and humor is something that I miss. What he's saying is that the humor is not back yet, unfortunately. I don't believe it. Oy vey. I hope will come back very soon. And the horror and the tzaras Yisrael should come to an end. B'mehera, looking forward. Arya Hershkovitz, Monroe, New York, looking forward. Mayor Hershkovitz. Dear Rebelli, when the notice came around about the MDY Shabbaton, I was on high. I learn with you daily. It's the highlight of the day. This is for you, Yossi. I put it in for you. I get a tremendous amount of inspiration for your daily shir. I'm a Hasidic Kohen Geman that is a staunch supporter of MDY. Official. Explain to him what staunch means. I didn't send the message until now because I was hoping that my finances, yeah, that word's okay, will allow me to attend the Shabbaton. I even bought the raffle ticket hoping that I'll win. Now that we're so close to Shabbos, my only hope is, copy what I'm trying to say, a couple from Borough Park, Mayor Hershkovitz. Okay, you deal with him. He says he's a Hasidic Yingaman. So first of all, he's a Yingaman. Second is Hasidic. I'll take care of the Yingaman. You take Hasidic. Let's see what we can do. We got to get him here. Azi Vidan. I walked into my school in Boston library to get a sefer, and I saw this written on the whiteboard. Look, Rabbi Yisrael, look how beautiful. Somebody wrote this on the board. Good morning, Rabbi Yisrael. Join Daf Yomi today. Go for free Gemara. Talking about free Gemaras, we have an official here. Last night he wrote to me that over 90 people he got to join in Baltimore. How many are today? 110. Rabbi Yisrael, 110 people. What's the initiative? To some things you get $1,000 a per, $10,000 a per. What do you do over there? Finances. Okay. Let's not say Barabbim because people are going to want it everywhere. We get people just for a free Gemara. You have to pay big time, huh? Baltimore is different. 110 people. Wow, it's unbelievable. Can't wait for Baba Kama. It's going to be very interesting. Thank you for everything. I love you, Shiurim. Have a great time. Oh, sorry. I skipped. At first, I thought I was the only person in my school who lives in the amazing Shiurim, but now after I tracked down the kid who wrote this, I found that there are like 4 other people. The student who wrote this on the whiteboard is only in 6th grade. 6th grader. Going around the whole school trying to recruit everyone to join the new Masechta and get a free Gemara Gevaldeg. This is from Avi Berg. I forgot to put in what he wrote, but he wrote that, what? Neria, and it's a siyum of achdus. You see this black hatters and this kippas rugaz, and chayalim, and a guy with a flute from Beitar, all sorts of people. Gevaldik. Kol hakavod. Massive siyum on your credit tomorrow. 11th grader at HANC, High School, Hebrew Academy of Nassau County, is making a siyum on Seder Noshim tomorrow. I'd love for you to zoom in before either at 8:40. You're available. How can you arrange this? Shkoyach. Probably not available. I would love to. There's other things going on here, no? Anyway, Rabbi Yisai, Shabbos of Achdus. Get the last room. There's only 2 rooms right before. Do you have what's going on here? Maybe you could zoom out. Can you zoom out a little bit? I want to show the stender. That doesn't look so great. This stender is made out of solid wood, built as an imitation to the stender in MDY. They went all out here, the Shabbos, all out. You hear that? Solid wood. Like the same, basically it's the same size, the same kind of everything as MDY. Only MDY is walnut, and this is probably birch. Where's that guy that built it? He was here a minute ago. Okay, Kimat. Very good. What else do we have? Rabbi Yisai, the Koilol is sponsored by no one. The Masechta, the last day. Is he coming? Yaakov Lak coming for Shabbos? He better be coming. Lak and loving families, Lakewood, New Jersey, because torah and achdus are the best segula. The Masechta is sponsored for the unity of Am Yisrael. The Parnas HaChodesh Hatzlach L'Schus Yosef Meir Ben Rachel Yidden worldwide. Parnas HaChodesh L'Nishma Zechraya Ben Moshe and L'Nishma Zechraya Bas Yosef. The heart of the month, Yosef Ben Chai Sarah for the schusim that come from supporting Limud HaTorah. Rabbi Yisai, the final daf of Masechtas Kiddushin and Seder Noshim. Not Pashat. It's really a schus for me to be here and have so many mechaverim from Eretz Yisrael here as well. Mamash feel at home. It says the Heilige Mishnah all the way on top of Pei Beis Amud Aleph. Again, easier Gemaras. We're dealing with Agadata. Lo yelamed adam ravok soifrim. A single man should not teach children in cheder. Your initial thought would be because there's a chashash of relations, yes, but not with the children. Relations with the mothers of the children that come. And also, a woman should not teach children for the same reason. The fathers come, drop off their kids in cheder. You see here the idea of tznios, that the frum community is so into separate schools, separate the weddings, and where does it come from? Here's some of the sugyas that explain to us these ideas. So this seems to repeat itself. It says a person who doesn't have a wife, a single man, should not teach children. Then it says even a man that doesn't have a wife shouldn't teach children. What's the difference? The Gemara will explain. Rabbi Yehuda Omer lo yireh ravok behema. A single man should not be a shepherd. As we're going to see, it's not an issue really today and lahalacha. Two single men should not be under one blanket. And Chacham say it's not an issue. We're not choishish people for being with an animal and mishkav zachar. Says the Gemara, my taima. What's the reason why a single man should not teach children? Is the concern that the Rebbe will do something bad to the children? We have a klal. Yes, it happens. We're not saying it doesn't happen. It does. But a typical man in Klal Yisrael doesn't have that chashad. Ella, Ravak Mishum Amahasa the Yenuke, we're concerned that when the mothers drop off the children in school like they always do till this very day, Isha Mishum Ahavasa the Yenuke. We're just concerned that the mothers will bring the kids into school, develop a relationship, and it can lead to things that are not so good. Rebbe Lazar, Omer, Af Mishainla, Iboilu. Mishainla Isha Klal? What does it mean, even a person who doesn't have a wife? Doesn't mean he doesn't have a wife at all. Doesn't mean that he's a widower, he's an alman, he doesn't have a wife because he used to have a wife. In other words, the difference between the Reisha and Rebbe Lazar would be a person who never got married at all, as opposed to somebody that was married once upon a time and he lost his wife. Or the pshat is, he's married right now, just he's not there. She's in a different city. This is a bigger chiddush. He sort of almost has pas v'saloi. He understands the idea. He's not that desperate. He has a wife. She's just not here. Ava Pikein, somebody like that should not teach children. It seems like, and we see from the Mishnah, people weren't makbid on this at all, because it used to be like a Rebbe would go far away, stay for months at a time. So his wife is not with him. And then they used to send back to the Parnasa. That's how it was. Rabbi Yehuda says that a single man should not be a shepherd. What about David HaMelech? What about Yaakov Avinu? What about Rebbe Kiva? It's not just that they were allowed to. The greatest Yidden that ever lived, David HaMelech, Rebbe Kiva, and Yaakov Avinu were shepherds. There's something special about it. There's also something that could go wrong. But we're not choshid. Not choshid on Mishkav Behema. Which obviously is Issa D'Oraisa. Says the Mishnah, very long Mishnah, maybe it's the longest Mishnah in Kiddushin. Kol sha'asokov im hanoshim lo yisyachid im hanoshim. It's a very long Mishnah, but also like an Agadita kind of Mishnah. A person who deals with women, that's his job. He's not allowed to have yichud with women. Now let me ask you a question. Could a single man whose job is not with women, his job is with men, is he allowed to have yichud with women? The answer is no. A man cannot be misyachid with two women. So what's the Mishnah saying? If you deal with women, you shouldn't have yichud with women. No one is allowed to have yichud with women. Says Rashi, incredible, and I was hinting to it yesterday. Rashi dibra maskul yisyachdim anoshim. Afilim harbe noshim. Yesterday when we were learning the sugya of a room within a room, so I mentioned that it's possible it's only two women. Over here, this is a mefurish Rashi. Lefi shalivi gazbu v'kulim v'chapis olav. V'ilu ish achrino bein shtei noshim tnan. Avalim sholish arba shaper dami. Says Rashi, the iser yichud that a regular man has is only with two women. Once it's 4 or 5 women, 3, 4, 5 women, there's no iser yichud. Nobody's going to be crazy and be with 10 women or 3, 4 women. But this guy that deals with the women, let's say he's a jeweler and he sells jewelry to women, he's not allowed to be yichud even with 3, 4 women. A regular man could be yichud with 3, 4 women, not a jeweler. There's a chiyuv for a father to teach his son a umnus, a profession. So don't teach him. Don't go teach him something that he has to deal with women. We're going to see exactly what that means. Easy, clean profession. Like the schnorrer that took a son on a Father's Day to work. What is it called when you bring your kid to work? Take your son to work day. And they said, what are you doing? He says, it says Mufurish in the Mishnah that you have to take your kid and teach him a umnus that's Nikiya V'Kala. And I don't chas v'shalom want my kid to have to come on to other people. So I brought him here. Okay, nobody got the joke. It's not funny. It's true. A person should daven to the one that's in charge of Parnasa. This Rabbi say we have to see Rashi. Nikiya V'Kala, says Rashi. If I read Gemara Shapir, the Gemara is going to explain it really well. A person shouldn't say, I'm in the wrong profession. As we're going to see over and over, there is no such thing as a profession that earns a lot of money and a profession that doesn't earn money. You can make money in any profession. Any profession. If you have the right mazel, the right schusim, then you earn more. You don't, you earn less. So you could, through tefillah, change your salary or the amount of money you're supposed to earn. Every profession. You could be a nursing home owner and lose all your money. Or you could be very wealthy. You don't become poor because of the profession you chose. Everything is dependent on your schus. Taisa says schus means mazel. Others, like the Marsha, explain schus literally that a person is born with a certain amount of chachma, a certain amount of parnasa. As he's born, HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, you are going to earn, you're going to be a usher, you're going to be an ani. But you could change it with schusim. If you change who you are and you change what you do, you could actually change what HaKadosh Baruch Hu decreed the day you were born, and you could increase your parnasa. Rabbi Shimon Isa have you ever seen an animal, a lion, that has a job? No. Every single animal in this world, every bird in this world has parnasa, has enough to eat. They survive. The Mishnah calls it shloi b'tzar. Doesn't take much effort for them. Whatever it is, they go hunting, and there's enough for everything. If you ever went to the safari, very much recommended, to see Neflai Sabayra, there's enough, let's call it buffalo for the lion. There's enough impala for the leopard. You know, there's hundreds of thousands of impalas. Why? Because they get killed a lot quicker and easier, and there's a lot more leopards and that sort of thing that kill them. But the larger ones, there's a little less. But you don't need that many because it's enough for, who's calling? Oh, it's my father. He'll be here in a minute. Yeah, if he calls, you just pick up. No. The point is, there's always enough and the right amount. And you should know the lion doesn't like impala, and this one can't even kill a buffalo. It's perfect. Everything is perfect. So, which reminds me, there's another thing I wasn't going to tell you, but we went to this place that they decided, it's in South Africa. I forgot, what is it called again? Skip my mind. It's like Tehillim from South Africa knows. Who's from South Africa here? He's not here now. He's very busy. Kitzer, it's next to the casinos over there. They basically took a bunch of land and decided to make their own safari. So they introduced a bunch of lions, this, that. But what happens if it's not natural? So there's way too many lions who killed way too many of the grazing animals, and they didn't have enough grazers. So they have to go and they had to kill a bunch of lions. Okay? If it wasn't done by HaKadosh Baruch Hu, it's like man-made, so it's very hard to get that perfect balance. I'll go upon them. They don't have an issue with parnasa. They misparnasim shalei b'tzar. V'lo nivru el sham sheini. All these animals are only there for man, for me, to eat them, to do whatever I need for them. V'ani nivreisi l'shamish koini. I was created to serve Hashem. And he didn't just parnas shalei b'tzar. So how come I have tzar and I'm thinking about parnasa all the time? Elo shoyrati masai v'kipachlis parnasasi. The problem is me. I ruined it for myself. I ruined my own parnasa. You think about Rav Shimon bar Yochai. Rav Shimon bar Yochai is in the cave for 13 years. The food comes to him. If you do the right thing, you do your thing. There's a few stories in the Gemara like that. I forgot who it was. Chinam and Daisa, whoever, one of these tzaddikim that a bag of money would come to his house. He didn't have to do anything. Rav Shimon bar Yochai is in a cave, 13 years. He has a little boxer. He had water. That's all he needed. Parnasa comes to him. Why are we different? Because we do Averas. Our Avera is what creates a problem for us, and then we struggle with Parnasa. Abba Gurion ish tzadion oimer mishum Abba Gurion lo yilamed adam is benoi. A person, these are things you shouldn't teach your son to be. Don't teach him to be a taxi driver. Lo yilamed adam is benoi chamor, to be a donkey driver, gamol, a camel driver, kadar, tzafon, roya, a wagon driver. Safon is a ship. Captain on a ship. Roya, don't teach him to be a shepherd. V'chenveni. What's the problem with the chenveni? Chenveni, the problem is he has a store. Yeah. What does the guy do? He sells a lot of wine. He sells wheat. So in the store, he's constantly cheating. He adds a little water to the wine. He adds a couple of stones to the wheat. Cheater, Rashi says. That's what they like to do. Don't teach them this stuff. It's natural for them to do it. A guy comes to Yosef Chaim Sonnenfeld. He says, Rebbe, what should I do? Milk spilled into my cholent. Well, I don't have money to make another cholent. What should I do? So he said, where'd you get the milk? He said, I got it from the milkman. He says, okay, let's call the milkman. Call the milkman. He says, milkman, I need to hear the truth. How much water do you put into the milk? He says, no, I don't put any water into the milk. It's milk. He says, I need to know how much water you put in the milk. It's very, very important to me. I'm not going to tell anybody, just tell me. 50% water. That's what he told him. He said, 50% water, okay, the cholent is kosher. So based on the amount of milk that fell into the cholent and the amount of water that was in the milk, kosher. Point is that it's unfortunately, you chose a profession that people cheat over there. The milkman cheats. The wine guy cheats. This is what they do. I'm not saying you should. This is what they do. Don't teach it to your kids. Shumnasam umnus listim. I don't know. Does anybody here have a very good story with a monit in Israel? A ma'aseh shahaya? No, nobody. Anybody want to share? No? Okay. I have plenty. Not for now. No, one time I was coming from the airport. I was going to Ramat Shlomo, and the guy made a wrong turn, and he ended up in Yam HaMelech, basically. He went all the way. He says, "Oh, you can't turn around. You know that when you go off today, just go and go. Oh, I don't know what is it called before Yam HaMelech over there? No, like what is it called? Something else. Whatever. Until he's able to make a U-turn." And then when he gets back to Ramat Shlomo, he tries to charge me for the meter, for the whole. I said, it's your mistake. I didn't tell you where to go. No. He said, I'm not giving you your suitcases until you pay me. The full thing. Kids are mice like that all the time. Another thing says Rashi over here, that when people, they have a wagon, they steal from the way. They see an apple tree, they grab an apple, they do this. There's a famous mitzvah with the Chofetz Chaim. He was in a wagon, and the guy stops in the middle. He says, listen, if you see the owner of the orchard coming, scream. I'm going to grab some fruit, b'gneva. So he went out, and the Chofetz Chaim started screaming, he sees you! So he ran back, and he zoomed off. And then he looked in the rearview mirror, and he sees there's nobody there. He says, what are you doing? He says, HaKadosh Baruch Hu sees you. Okay. Zog the Gemara, Mishnah, Rabbi Yehuda Omer, Mishmai. Hachamarim Ruben Mishayim. Says in the name of Abi Gurion. The camel riders, most of them are Rishayim. Vagamalim Rubam Ksherim. A camel driver has to be in the desert, and that gives him Yiras Shamayim. When you're in fear, you see now, people in fear. I'll say this thing because I saw one of the Knesset members saying an unbelievable speech of Emunah, based on that lady, Gidash, whatever her name is, that her daughter came out of captivity, and she did Afrash's Chala. Somebody said it was the first time in her life. I don't know if that's true or not. But one thing I'll tell you that I heard her say, and this is what this person in the Knesset said in front of the whole Knesset, a speech for 5 minutes, kedai to listen if you know Hebrew. Beautiful speech in Bitachon and Emunah. That this lady said, she was screaming in middle, she stopped her, and she started screaming to Hashem, just spontaneously. And she said, Hashem, please save my daughter, please, please. And then she said, Hashem, I love you. And this person in the Knesset said, Hashem, I love you. Now you love Hashem when your daughter is in a hole, hundreds of feet under the ground, together with these Rishayim Arurim. I love you. He says, yes, I love you. That a mother, this woman who, I don't know how affiliated she is, she was able to say in a raw way, I love you, Hashem, even in this terrible matzav. Hashem knows what's best, and Hashem has a cheshbon for everything. A gamal, he's in a matzav of danger. He's sitting there in the desert, in the middle, there's nothing there. And there's bad guys here, and this is here, and there's no water. So your heart is with Hashem. A gamal Ruben Ksherim. The Chamarim, they're in the city. They think everything is good. Hasafanim, can you imagine those days? I don't know what the rate was to go down, but I don't think it was very good to survive. Like you go on one of these wooden ships, cross the ocean, and then a 40-foot wave hits you, and I don't know what the story is. So if you're a Safan, you're a captain on a boat, on a ship, Rubum Chasidim, this is a higher level. You're constantly davening to Hashem and talking to Hashem. And this, Rabbi says, is one of the most famous lines in Shas. Toiv shebaroifim legehenim. The best of the doctors goes to Gehenim. Why? Because the best of the doctors isn't himself. He thinks that he could do it. He's the one that's healing people. He doesn't have emunah. Rabbi Yankel Galinsky, every time he went to the doctor, he had another line. But one of the lines that a doctor came over and says, Rebbe, is it true that Toiv shebaroifim legehenim? He said, you don't have to worry about it. I'll go upon him. Rashi brings here another pshat. Peretz Chaim, Kimtzeran, what a schus, You want to, over here, it's like, there's no business for you. You know what I'm saying? If you're going to put out a sign, these are people, these are staunch supporters of MDY. So, Rashi sticks in here a line, and we'll talk about it later as well, that a doctor, when a poor person comes to him and he doesn't give him service because he doesn't have insurance and he doesn't have money, he's a Rasha. You have to take these things into consideration, not just, I said this about Dr. Geller from Frackwell, I'll say it again, I said it a long time ago, I said it again, I have a course at Toivtim. I don't think he practices anymore, but I think his son does in the 5 towns. I got my teeth done as a kid because my father he didn't even have a shtela, he wasn't even koil, my father. He never took a shtela and he always learned at home. And so he had a day every single week that he would give to the poor, to the Talmid Chachamim in town, to the Rabbeim in town, to the poor. And that's a chashav person, that's a guy. That's a person that doesn't go to Gehenna. That's a person that goes to Gan Eden. He understands. And this is Mefurish Gemara. I'm gonna read to you soon. The best of the sheichtim, those who sell meat, shutav shel Amalek. So this is, people that are in the business know. I was in catering a lot, and also I had a meat business, unfortunately. And one thing I can tell you, that it's very, very difficult when you shecht an animal that costs $2,000 and you open it up and you find out it's treif. It's a tremendous loss. Tremendous. What do you do? So the way out of it is, if you know what you're doing, you get a shut of a guy and you give it to the guy, and but it still comes with a loss. Every time there's one animal, you try to do anything you could, and if the Rav is a little bit machmer, you whack him over the head when he's not looking, and you fire him, you get another guy. It's a big problem. You don't want any of these strafers. This guy, treif. $2,000 down the drain, $2,000 down the drain. It's a big bayah. I heard once a pshat that if you have a shut of Amalek, you have a shut of a guy, then it's a kosher shabbat tabachim. Then you don't have to worry about being machshir something that's streif because you have a shut of. But why does it say Amalek? Okay, it's just it's a nice pshat. Says Gemara, Reb Nurai Oimer. I think I once heard, I should have looked it up, that Reb Nurai is Reb Akiva. But don't quote me on that. Reb Nurai Oimer. Maniach ani kol umonei sheba'olam ve'ini milabed es bini ela torah. I'll have to find out. Maybe my father will when he comes in. Are you sure? Okay. Because he is in here, no? Isn't Remeir here? Yeah. Remeir Oimer Yilol Yalom Yom Nikiva Kalo.
He says, "Beni, my own son," because I know him, son. Him, I'm teaching Torah.
Right. That's a pshat that they say. Yes, you have to teach your kid a profession. I'm going to teach my kid Torah. Obviously, Torah, you get a little bit in this world, and most of it lasts for Olam Haba. Ushar kol umanos enikein. Any other profession is not like that. If a person is sick, old, Yisurim, and he can't work, that's it, he's done. The Torah itself will help you not when he's young, and it gives you longevity and hope when you're older. Says by Avram Avinu, Zokim Hashem Berach Avram Bakol, Hashem blessed Avram Bakol. Motzinu Shosa Avram Avinu was Kalator Kula, this famous line. This week's parasha. Avram Zokim Hashem, yeah, you're right. Huh? V'koy Hashem, correct. People don't know that sometimes they read it V'koye. Yeah. Avram Avinu was Kalator Kula actually nitno. Shosa Avram Avinu was Kalator Kula actually nitno. A very famous saying that Avram Avinu kept the entire Torah. Shenemar, Eikev asher shama Avram bekoili. He listened to my voice. Vayishmar mishmarti. Mitzvah he kept my mitzvahs. Chukoisai v'sirasai. What's that? That Avram Avinu kept even the Rabbanans. Even something like Erev Tavshil, Rashi says, he kept it all. Things that didn't exist yet. There's in the future. Chacham came up with achdus and gzeres. He kept them also. Somebody that deals with women, he's minigra kigoyin hatzarfim, like a jeweler, vasarikim, person that fixes women's clothes. Vanakarois, he cleans out the mills, the machines that the women use to grind wheat. Varoichlin, and peddlers that are always dealing with women. Vagardim, and weavers. Vasaparim, and barbers. Should be a barber. Why? Because when you're a barber, the women come to bring the children to the barber shop. Vakoivsim and launderers, vagara, blood letters. Oh, we're going to see a whole list, 10 things about the blood letters. So I just want to point, Good thing Rafal's not here. Okay, so I just want to read this Gemara real quickly because it's not so pashut. In other words, most blood letters have issues. You know what? Let's see it inside what the issues are, and then we'll go to this Gemara Beis or something. Says the Gemara like this: Vahabalon, and a guy that works in the bathhouse. Vahabursaki, and a guy that's a tanner. He makes shoes, leather. You hear this? Rafal the barber should not be a king, and he should not be a kohen gadol. In other words, it's a nice profession. Maybe even plumbing is a good profession, but no, he's not listening. But do you want your king to be an ex-barber? It's a shtickle b'zayim. My time, let me show the psile, not because they're apostle, something's wrong with them. Ela meshum dezil umunusayu, because it's a degrading kind of profession. Now, it could be today it's different. It's very possible that a bursiki guy, a tanner that owns a leather shop is a multi-gazillionaire, and it's not this, and it could be a plumber is the top of the world, which they are. Fine. I want to tell you 10 things that are wrong with this bloodletter guy. Right? In those days, it was a big thing. People didn't feel well. Remove a little blood. He has too much blood in his system. You got to get it out. Together with the bad. Mahal Chaltidoi, the way he walks is with haughtiness. V'ruchi Gasi, he's a Balgaiva. V'nitla v'yoshev, he leans in his chair like this. Ve'enoi tzara, he constantly eats meals at his patients' houses. So he's a stingy guy. He never spends money on food. Ve'enoi ra, and he has a terrible eye for people. In other words, he's constantly thinking, oh, I wish that guy gets sick so he comes to me as a patient. He's constantly praying that people should almost drop dead, so to speak. A guy comes to Reb Chaim Kanievsky, and this is mamish for you, Reb Yossi. Comes to Reb Chaim Kanievsky, and he says, I'm a plumber. So Reb Chaim Kanievsky says, you're a plumber, so what are you diving for? You diving that people's toilets should get clogged? What are you diving for? The guy didn't know. Like, it's not nice to say yes, you know, the truth. Now you diving that people should build homes and buildings. I understand. So he told him a beautiful thing. He told him you should daven that all your tsaris should fall on plumbing problems. So the person has to break his leg, chas v'shalom. So instead of breaking his leg, have a massive flood, backup, whatever, and he has to call Yossi Klein the plumber. That's what you should daven. Not that people should need bloodletting and then this. The tsaris, I guess you could also daven for that if you're bloodletting. Instead of him dying, you should need a little bloodletting. Eitzim Havana. Oichel Harbe eats a lot in these people's homes. Umoitzi Kima, when he goes to the bathroom, it's very little. Interesting. Because Rashi says it's something called a Sudas HaKaza. You make a special Suda right before bloodletting. And it's healthy stuff. You know, you're eating healthy, little rice, white bread, Rashi says. Good stuff that doesn't cause you to go to the bathroom. Okay. V'chosher al arayis, he's dealing with a lot of women, so there's a chshad for arayis. V'ala gezel, and he's stealing. So this is very super interesting. Why is he stealing? He's stealing from the husbands. The wives come and they say they need bloodletting. They chop money from their husbands without telling them. They use the credit card. They swipe it without telling the husbands. Gneva. You're involved in gneva. V'ashvichas damim. Sometimes they take a little bit too much blood without being careful. Kill the guy. Why should you kill the guy? So you're looking at this and you're saying, okay, a bloodletter is a terrible, terrible profession. None of us are bloodletters, so we don't really care. But what if the Gemara said the same thing about a plumber? Plumber is a terrible guy. He's a ganav, this or that. He's with women. All these zachet. So I want to read to you this Gemara, which is an amazing Gemara. It opened my eyes. Remember this Gemara from Tainis Daf Chaf Aleph. You all remember this? Which reminds me, I'm going to show you a video, but Baruch Hashem, Benny is coming. The guy, Benny from Eretz Yisrael, the butcher, we're talking about a butcher, is coming. And he sent me a video, and I'm going to show it, Be'ez Hashem, on Sunday maybe, of him packing what? You'll see, from the video, you'll see. He packed Masechtas Tainis. He's going to be learning Masechtas Tainis on the plane. We'll find out. Because of Molandi over here. So it says like this in Masechtas Tainis. Is this the Masechta you learned on the plane? It says like this. I'll read it real quick. It's a very long story, beautiful story. Abba Umna, Abba, the bloodletter. Have asili shlomim misif the rekia kol yoyma. Hakadosh Baruch Hu would send them shalom aleichem every single day. Abaya kol mali yoyma the shapsa only on erev Shabbos. L'rova kol mali yoyma the kippur. Imagine Rava once a year, the bloodletter every single day. Abai was jealous. What's going on here? How does he get it every day? Every single day Hashem says hello to him. So, his Talmidim said, you're not going to be able to imitate him. You know what? I'll just say it balpeh. He was very careful that men and women should be in separate rooms. My point of the story is that you can take any profession you have and make it the worst profession in the world. The Gemara just brought 10 things. The guy's a terrible, terrible guy. And you flip it. You take the same terrible profession, that there's 10 terrible things. Any raw, any tsar, any moicha. Even when he goes to the bathroom, it's terrible. It's little. You can take it and mamish, bring it up to a darga that you're greater than Abaye and Rava. It's an unbelievable story. He was very maked that men and women should be in separate rooms. And he had a special robe that a tiny little hole. You give it to the women, and he didn't see them at all. He just put the needle right through that little tiny hole. And then he had a special box. You wanted to pay him, you paid him. You didn't want to pay him, you didn't pay him. You didn't know who paid him, who didn't pay him, so they weren't embarrassed. And then he would give special things to the Talmid Chachamim. And then he had guests there, and the guests stole his blankets. And these mechutzafim, because they were trying to test him, the rabbis Talmidim. So they meet him in the street, and they say, you see these blankets? How much are they worth? And he recognized that they were his. Instead of saying, Ganavim, you stole my blankets, he said they're worth $20. And they said, how do you know? Because they're mine. So then why are you not upset at us? I thought you needed it for tzedakah. The Kitzer, this guy was a very, very, the Herbin Mensch, a very holy Jew. And therefore, HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave him shalom every single day. The bottom line is, we could take any profession, even the worst of the worst, the bloodletter, and not let it get to our head, not be about gaiva, and be makbid on tznius, and everything else. And then HaKadosh Baruch Hu is so happy with him, he sends him shalom aleichem more than Abaye and Rava. Zok the Gemara. Darj bakapara. Loylam ilamelam is bnoi umnos nikiva kala. You should teach his son a clean, easy umnos. Mai. How much time do I have left? It's not enough time. I'll tell you why. Because I plan on doing 90 Yesodis Hashas. All the Yesodis Hashas, some Kiddushin, it's the last daf. Let's go. My Omer Rav Yehuda Machta the Talmid Yusuf. Teach your son how to sew professionally in a beautiful way, some sort of embroidery. Givaldik. Tayi Rebbe Yomer Ein Lechom Noshoy Veres Min Olam. No profession ever leaves the world. Asher Misha Roya is Hayrav Bumonos Mu'ula. It's geschmack to see your parents doing a great thing, or your children, parents and children. Oiloi Lemisha Roya is Hayrav Bumonos Buguma. And Nevach to the person that sees his parents or his children with a terrible profession. Churchill, when he became prime minister in England, it was known that his father was a shoemaker. So a guy came over to him to shtach him and said, hey, you see this pair of shoes? Could you please give it to your father to fix? So without blinking for a second, he said, you know, you remind me. My father, he works with his hands. He earns an honest living. And he taught me through his profession that whatever you do it 110%. You do it the best you possibly can. And that's why my father is the best shoemaker in England. You know, a whole speech. He didn't. But there's such a thing that a kid is embarrassed by his father's profession. And Ashrei, the person, but you can, again, Nachmal, you can take the same profession, any profession, and make it into anything you want. Ef Shaloilam, says the Gemara. Ef Shaloilam beloy basam u beloy bursike. The world needs perfume and it needs tanners, which they don't smell very good. Ashrei mishum nasi basam. Nevach, the person that has to be bursiki, I think Rabbi Yosef was a bursiki. I think the Gemara says. Ef Shaloilam, one of the Tanaim was. Ef Shaloilam, may probably even more. Ef Shaloilam beloy scharim or beloy nekevos. The world needs males and females. That's why I kicked those women out, so they shouldn't hear this. Ashrei misha banav scharim, v'oiloi lemisha banav nekevos. Gevaldik, zoicha, the person that has scharim. I have 4. And only 1 nekeva, kind as Gemara. So, of course, if you go to the art scroll, they're very politically correct because you're very worried about your daughter and shiduchim. They have a whole drasha, Givaldik. I once heard a pshat that when you call up your daughter's school, you say, how's my daughter doing? So the principal says, oh, she has so many friends And she says, such good midas. You call up your son's yeshiva, say, how's my son doing? Oh, he's steiging away like crazy. Can you imagine if you call up your son's yeshiva and the guy says, oh, he has a lot of friends and has good midas. You know, you have good tzaras. So Ashri Misha Banu Scharim, they tell you like a Zachar, they don't tell it like in a keva. Okay. You always have to daven for it. You hear this, Rabbi Isai? You got to remember this. You don't become poor because of the profession that you chose. Oh, it's not because, you're in real estate, you're in this, and that's why you're so wealthy. You could be a caterer, and all of a sudden the government gives you a big thing. You could be a this, and you could do that. You can make money in any profession you are. Rabbi Shimon Elazar Omer. In Reisa miyomecha. Tanya Rabbi Shimon Elazar Omer. Miyomai loiroisi tzvi kayotz. So we actually have some art today, believe it or not. Took a long time to generate this. I never saw a deer that his profession is to dry out figs. Vari sabo. I never saw a lion who's a porter who schleps suitcases and says Shabbos of achdus, somebody in the background, Givaldik. These are all original, seriously. You can't find this online. Serious. This is AI, but original. And I never saw a shul, a chemveni, a fox who's a shopkeeper. There's parnasa without anything. I said, one thing I got to tell you about it struck me when I was in the safari a few times. Do you know that elephants eat close to 23 hours a day? Through the night. You could hear them just chewing and chewing. What a life. All day and all night, year after year, month, they're just eating and eating and eating. And they have a mishpacha, and they go with the mishpacha, and they eat more and more and more and just eat. That's their life. It's unbelievable. But I got to tell you this, it's very important because the Chavis Lebovic says this, that there's many professions in this world. And believe it or not, there's people that love certain things. People love photography, people love plumbing, people love catering, people love food, people love dead people. Everything, you need people that work in funeral parlors, right? You need Chaver Kedisha people. There's people that enjoy it, they like to do Nituchim Mason, whatever it is. People like, whatever, so you're supposed to take the profession that you're drawn to, he says. What you like. Because it's not going to make a difference if you're going to be selling diamonds or you're going to be selling toilet paper. You're going to make the same exact money no matter what. So just pick the thing that you enjoy the most. Zog the Gemara. So, all these animals, they're able to make it without any tsar. We said this already. They are there to serve me, and I'm here to serve Hashem. Just like they have no tsar, and it didn't just so I shouldn't have to work at all. I should have like mon by my doorstep. It's my fault. I ruined it with my averish. And now let's try to fly through this as fast as possible. I would recommend that you look at this as I'm saying and try to see if you remember it yourself. How many of these 90, you saw this in Shas, do you remember? A lot of them are very, very simple. And here goes. Kicham is the Ephra, and we learn that a woman is Nikna Bekesev. Zav means a person that has an emission, and 1, 2, 3 becomes Tameh for 7 days even. Befanei Nechtam is a throwback to Gitin, that when you get divorced in Chutz La'aretz, the Eidim have to testify that was written in front of them and signed in front of them. What does Kinyan Sudr mean? It means Chalipin. It's one of the Kinyanim, we're talking about it more. Hafara means that if a woman makes a neder, her husband could be made for it. Nirtza is a Eved who wants to stay longer than the 6 years, and he becomes a Nirtza. And if you remember this is very cool to remember. I don't know if people do. Socher is somebody who works less than 6 years, and a toishav, sachar toishav, right? The pasuk says sachar toishav. Toishav is somebody who works till the yovel, in other words, a nirtza. And the concept something that you could even learn from a gav. Sometimes the Torah goes out of its way and writes it. The concept of zika. Zika is when a woman falls liyibum. She has a bond to the yavam. The famous, maybe the most well-known hekesh in Shas, v'yotzav ha'hoisa, that were makish havayli yitzia, the halachas of Kiddushin to Gitin. The concept called memetzino in a binyan av, and if you find this halacha here, you do the same thing there. It's not based on words, just, and that one you could just shlug up with a pircha koldahu. Yadayim shem mechichos is the idea that if let's say a nazir says one word, hareini, so it's not clear what he wants to say. That he wants to be a nazir, he's going to be a basketball player. What exactly? So it's a hand that's not so clear. The word oinai means a star. Milva loitzanitla, if a person gives, let's say, a loan to a woman, so he can't be mekadesh her with that loan that he gave her yesterday because it's there for her to spend and it's not there now. Kinyan agav means that I'm making a kinyan on one thing, and agav that, in addition to that, I'm going to make a kinyan on something else. I buy a house, I'm kind of the couch in the house. Oina is that you can't charge more than a sixth. If it's exactly a sixth, then you give back the money. More than 6, it's batal. Hoimer almanas. A person makes a t'nai on condition this and this and that. It's as if he said, I wanted to start now, I just have to fulfill the condition. The concept of shtar psikta, that's something that probably people forgot already. It's a hard one. Maybe it won't come up that many times in Shas. It just means that somebody wrote a shtar, like the father of the chas and the kala, right in shtar, I'm going to give X, Y, Z, like by the t'naim. The idea, the word simfain means something that cancels, like a sale, if there's a mum or something like that. The shvuah mitzvah is you swear when you admit a partial admission that you owe a little bit, so then he could invoke a shvuah. This idea that if you charge more than the 6, it's batal l'mekach, doesn't apply to hegdish. Does anybody remember what Geroin Kesef is? Very good. The deduction of money from Eved Amma when she wants to go out. So let's say she was bought for 600 for 6 years. So he gives 100 a year. She gives back 100 a year. When it comes to arayis, you need at least 2 edim. Get me'usa. Remember that one? A forced get. Thank you. Lav abo mechlal asay is asay. The only way I learned that this is asur is because the Torah says you should do this, and I infer from that you don't do that, so it has the same strength as an asay. Shibuda deraisa. If I owe something if I have to do it, it's midaraisa. Shibuda deraisa, the famous Shalom thing. If Reuven owes money to Shimon and Shimon owes money to Levi, so Levi should pay Reuven directly. Tafasta Merubah, Tafasta is a klal in all of Shas that don't try to grab too much, more than you could chew. Gershon is Garik, Tinak Shanadam. We always say that the day that he becomes a Ger, it's like he's a brand new person. Just yesterday we spoke about it. The Ramosha said that he doesn't have to, he doesn't have a problem of yichud with his children. Thank you. See, the Ilum is much paying attention. There's a machlokes whether Kiddushin grabs in a woman that is a chayv lav or not. Let's say you tell your wife you're not going to give your share ksus v'ayna, it doesn't work, it's against the Torah. Rabbi, whatever the slave acquires goes immediately to his master, but you could give a slave something on condition that your master doesn't have anything. Tzroira is that we're going to have Rabbi side just in a day or two. Mishalim Chatzi Nezek and Nezek Shalim. That's a Nox walking and he steps on a pebble and it shoots and breaks a glass. Does he have to pay full amount or not? If you're just a cause to Hezek, you're potter midiraisa. Who remembers this one? Ein tamos v'zachrus ba'oif. When it comes to a bird, huh? It doesn't make a difference on a chicken if it's a zachar and a keva in the base of Mikdash. Well, there's no chicken. If it's a pigeon, it doesn't matter if it's zachar and a keva. It doesn't matter if it's whole or not, if it has a mum or not. Kolorei lebila and bilamak is one of the most famous concepts in Shas, that if I could do a certain action, I don't have to do it. But if I cannot physically do it, then it makes a difference. What's this? Oh, these are the different kinyanim on metaltalin hagba, mesira, chalipin, and meshicha. Ein yishbam al karkais, you don't swear on a karka. And the idea of nisfu chetecha ba'aliyah is the idea that you're not kind of bekesef because the seller, if it's in his house, he won't take care of your stuff. He'll say, "Oh, it got burned, it got ruined," so that he should care about your stuff. You have to take it from him. Shtar mugdam means a shtar that's out of the one date is an earlier date than when it actually happened. Gilgul shvua is if I already invoke one shvua, I could roll another shvua into it. Just because it's a halacha by Isur, it doesn't mean that you can learn the same halacha to Hilchas Mamenes. When I go in a chas and I go like this, they dafka do it with like a yarmulke, some napkin, but not with money. The famous idea, Sofik deraisa lechumra, Sofik derabanan lekula. Oh, this I just threw in, right? Because it was on Rashi. If you break your Yetzer Hara, ein mitzvah g'dola mezuz, says Rashi. There's no greater mitzvah than that. Don't forget that. The Korban Pesach, you have to be registered in order to eat it. You have to be lemenuyav. Zachan la'adam shalei b'fanav. These, right? The Olam is saying these are easy. We know these. Gevaldik. So that just means that you learned well. You know all these musagim 2 years ago. Zachan la'adam shalei b'fanav. If you find something, you could acquire it for your friend if it's a good thing. This we said already. Mi'ila means that it's usher to use an animal or an object that belongs to Hegdish. In this we had many sugyas, shnei ksuvim, habayim kechadai milamdim. When the Torah says the same halacha twice, you can't learn something else out of it because the Torah is saying only these two places and nowhere else. Shvuas, Hes is a shvua that I didn't use something. Cheveni al pin kosoi means that a guy says to his workers, go to the shop and buy whatever you want there, take lunch. The owner of the store says, I gave them the food. The worker said, we never got anything. So the owner has to pay both. He has to pay the shop owner and he has to pay his employees. Maimer is Kiddushin that a Yavam does to Yavama. It only works midrabanan. Ziko, we said already. Mion is when a young girl is married off by her brother or sister, not by her father. So it's only midrabanan. She could refuse the marriage. Pigul is when you have a carbon and the kohen thinks to himself that he's gonna eat it. Shloi bezman. Shloi b'makom is something else. Also, yeshnel eschiris mitchila vatsoif. This is not so familiar, but we know what it is. It means that it's machlokes whether when a person works on something to build this standard, does he earn his profit? Is the what? In increments. Does he earn it in increments, a prut at a time, or at the last moment he gets it all together? Mara makoim hiloi. Okay, we could skip that. It's when she's just saying, I want it from there, I want it from this field. Yiddishkeit is in the head, Rabbi Yisai. Whatever that means. It's in the head. Dvarim shebelev ein in dvarim. You can't say, oh, I meant this. I was moving to Yisrael, and that's what, if you didn't say it, you didn't say it. But sometimes we have a concept called anan sahadi. It's so obvious that had a person known that he has a son, he wouldn't give away all his nechasim to his friend. Or when I'm giving my esrik to you to shake, obviously I want it back. Ein shlich l'dvar aveira. You cannot say, oh, so and so told me to kill someone. There's no such thing as shlich l'dvar aveira. Kol she'enoi b'zeh acher zeh. Enoi bevasachas. You can't do something one after another, then you can't do it together. Kiddushin shleinim zerbia is a kiddushin that, let's say you don't know who the woman is, so it doesn't grab. Kiniyad v'chamor. Rabbi, remember that one? If I say I'm giving my belongings to you and a donkey, to you and an unborn baby, so just like the unborn baby can't be kained, just like the donkey can't be kained, so you can't either because I was joking around with you. I meant to put you and a donkey in the same category. So it doesn't work. The shvua of somebody that left a pekala by somebody, Milo, we said, Hatznuim moishchim yidem, just threw it in there. We had it then. It's that, don't worry, we're almost done. That the tzaddikim, they wouldn't take from lechem aponim, even though it's such a chash of a thing, lechem aponim, but they would stay away from it because there's too much proud people. They were fighting, stayed away from it. Kiddushin haguf is when a carbon has the highest level of kedusha, like a oila, a chatas, and Kiddushin damim means it's only kaddish for its monetary value, and you can redeem it and take it out of it. Basar taiva was the idea that in the midbar, Klal Yisrael couldn't eat meat if it was roy for a carbon. If I could bring this animal as a carbon, you can't eat it. If it was a balmum, let's say, then you could eat it. Biur is the idea. Does anybody remember what biur is? Biur is in the year of Shemitah, so you have to destroy the fruit once the time of biur comes. Each fruit, depending if it's kalaminash from the, there's no more in the field, the animals have stopped eating it. Toivus Hana this is an interesting one. It's brought down many times in Shas. The idea that a person could say, I could have given this amount of truma to my friend the kohen, I could pay him or whatever. The guy giving the truma, he has a little bit of benefit in it. He gives it to, he can make a little money on it. Matane shalehurmu, kimishurmu, when you have truma meiser, it wasn't mufresh yet, but it's as if we could consider as if it was given already. This we said already. So there's a few more than a couple, 3, 4 already that are doubles. We said it by a kohen. If a kohen can marry the daughter, then he can marry the mother, the almana. Kiddushin shem yisurim lebi. We said kal gerim lo yikra kal. We had a whole sugya whether or not a ger is his own. If he's not considered part of the community and therefore marry a mamzer. The idea of mishapara is a curse. If you don't keep your word, you get a curse called mishapara. What's the part of mishainu? Could you acquire something that's not in the world yet? A bachar doesn't inherit 2 parts on something that doesn't exist at his father's tira. If the father's belongings made a lot of money after he died, the bachar only takes the regular amount, not double. Safek tum rishus hayachid is tamei. Safek tum rishus ravim is tar. Remeir throughout Shas is always chayshish for the miyot, like he doesn't want a yavam cotton to do yibum because he might turn out to be a saris. And Rabbi Isai, that is all we have. Have a wonderful day. Yishkoch for being here. And if you're not signed up yet, we can find the room for you, Be'ezer Hashem. Have a wonderful day.